Hello everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the first video of February. It's very exciting, but without further ado, this is my January wrap-up, January favorites, and my February TBR, which is longer than I thought it was going to be, and I'm a little worried, but let's just get into it. So the first book that I read in January was an ARC that I was sent by HarperCollins, which was very lovely of them to do, and it is Racist Sounds by Sarah Beth Durst, which is out in April, I do believe. April 21st, I think is the day. If I'm wrong, I will correct myself on the screen. But this book I ended up giving 5 stars to. It was so good. So it is blurbed as a standalone adult fantasy with 2 kick-ass female characters, and it's basically about monster racing. Let me read you just the little itty-bitty bit on the back here. In this epic standalone fantasy, the acclaimed author of the Queens of Renthia series introduces an imaginative new world in which a pair of strong and determined women risk their lives battling injustice, corruption, and deadly enemies in their quest to become monster racing champions. So that's the premise. We have Tamara, who is an elite Keyhawk racer. Keyhawks are these monsters in this world. They are, this world runs on a belief system that how you are in your life, the kind of taint you put on your soul, will eventually deem what kind of being you are reincarnated into. And if you are reincarnated into a Keyhawk, you are the worst of humanity. You are the murderers, the pillagers, just the awful people who don't care about other humans. They're reincarnated into Keyhawks, which are just angry, terrible, mutant monsters. And this world has Keyhawk racing, so it's very dangerous because Keyhawks just want to kill everybody, which is a lot. So we start off with Tamara, who was an elite racer, but she got injured in one of her races, and then she became a trainer. And in the previous year, her racer and rider ended up dying in the race because of a mistake, and so she's kind of a disgraced trainer now. But in this, she has to train a new rider and racer because her daughter is in this school or whatever, and she needs to pay for it. So we have Tamara, who is incredible, so badass and ruthless, will not stop at nothing. And then we have, I keep wanting to call her Laya, but she's not. Rhea. It's very close. Rhea ends up being her racer. Her rider. Oh my god, I cannot. Racer, rider, same thing. But it's just fabulous, and I really enjoyed this world, and I loved that it was a standalone fantasy. I've been searching for really good standalone fantasies, and this one just blew me away, and it was an incredible first read of January, for sure. The next one I read was actually on audio. I found it through, I believe, my library, and it was The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. This one I ended up only giving 3 stars, I believe. Yeah, only 3 stars. It was kind of forgettable for me, just nothing wowed me throughout. It's about a young girl who at one point was shipped away into hiding by her mom, who is the queen, and she one day is like, alright, well, I'm gonna become queen now, and she takes a trip back to her kingdom and takes her throne back, and it's all of the ensuing stuff that happens. It was okay. I won't be continuing with this though, because it just didn't wow me, but yeah. I then continued on the train of finding wonderful audiobooks on Libby, which is the app you can listen to through your library, and I ended up listening to The Light Between Worlds by Laura E. Weymouth. This book was just so good. So good. It was just heartbreaking. So it was basically about what would happen after a bunch of kids come back from going to Narnia, essentially. It is a very Narnia-esque story. It is set originally, when they go to the world, the magical world in this book, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but when they go to the magical world, these three siblings end up slipping through the cracks when London's going through a bomb raid in the middle of the war. So it's very reminiscent of the Narnia series, but it's about what happens to. It's basically about the two sisters. We have the one sister who is just desperate to go back because she doesn't feel like she fits in, and then it's the other sister who wanted to come back in the first place because she missed her original world. And it was just so beautifully done. It touches on incredible just like depths of mental health issues and depression and anxiety and all of that. Just, it is seeped in sadness but also hope, which is so lovely. And it was just, every second of that audiobook I was just so enthralled with the story, and I absolutely adored it. And I don't own a physical copy, but I will by the end of this year. I will find a physical copy of that book because it is going to be one of my favorite books of this year, hands down. I can already tell you that. It's a 5-star easily. I just adored it so much. So please, if you can handle really hard-hitting stories about that kind of stuff, I highly suggest you pick it up because it is just such a lovely look at mental health and the reality of it, but also like how other people can perceive it in your family, and it's just that kind of issue. And oh, it's just, and the magical parts of it that just were so beautiful. Oh, I just want to reread it now because it's just, it was so good when I read it. Oh my god. The next book that I picked up was My Uncle Oswald by Roald Dahl. I read this for my book club with my friends. My friend picked it as her December pick, and I ended up just reading it right before we met at the beginning of January. And I gave it 2 stars because it was really not great. It is a satirical romp from like this guy's diary. It's not even really worth talking about. It's interesting because of the way it's framed, because it removes Roald Dahl from that ideology that's represented in the book. Maybe not ideology, but the ideas and the point of view of Oswald, who narrates it. But it was just, it was not, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't put yourself through that. If you're gonna read a Roald Dahl, stick to the nice kid ones that we know and love. Don't do My Uncle Oswald, but yeah. Anyways, that was another one. The next one I read was actually one that I had started in 2019 but put down. I had picked up the audiobook for it because it is a monster, and I adore this series a lot. This one was okay. I think I ended up giving it only 4 stars though because it wasn't my favorite of the series, but that is Lethal White by Robert Galbraith, or aka J.K. Rowling, and I'm really glad that I re-picked up the audiobook to finish it because this one was just really deeply political, and there was a lot of just a little bit too much fluff for me in it, because like coming off of the 3rd one in this series, which was my favorite, the action and the stakes of it are so huge. This one was good but not up to par, so I'm hoping that the 5th one ends up being better. But yeah, this is just a continuation of the Cormoran Strike crime novels that Robert Galbraith, J.K. Rowling, puts out, and I really enjoy them. I love crime novels, especially these. These are really good. They get better with every book, except for this one. So like the 3rd one's my favorite out of all of them so far, so hopefully the 5th one goes back on an upstring. But anyways, this is another book I read. And the next book I read, I picked up as well on audio. There's a lot of audiobooks throughout the month of January for me. I ended up reading, I believe, 13 books in January, so a lot of that was because of my audiobook reading. I adore audiobooks. I use Scribd and Libby, which is the library app, and as well as I've re-picked up Audible because I wanted a specific book to listen to this month. But anyways, that was just a little tangent. But this one I picked up on Audible, or not Audible, on audio through my library, and I'm really glad I did. I've been waiting for this one to come in, and when it did, I was so excited. This wasn't part of my original TBR, but I just was so excited to pick it up, and that is Mistborn: The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I am so glad I finally read this book, and because it's just one of my now like all-time favorite magic systems in fantasy books ever. So it is basically about this gang of people who come together to overthrow the government of the Final Empire. And in this world there are there's just like a magic system that you burn metals, and this burning metals gives you different abilities. Specifically, there's like a bunch of different people who can do only one of the metals, but if you can do more than one, you can do them all, and you are called a Mistborn. And so in this group of people we have two Mistborns. We have Kel and we have our lovely main character, Vin. Her name is Vin, and she's awesome. But just the incredible craft that goes into this book is just amazing. I really, really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to keep going with this series. The next book I also read on audio for a reason specifically that you will find out eventually in video form, hopefully later this month if I get my act together and keep reading the books that I want to read for this video. But I ended up reading Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett, and I gave this one, I believe, 4.5 stars? Yes, 4.5 stars. It was really lovely and really interesting, and I think this is another one with an incredibly unique magic system. I put magic in quotes because it's not really a magic system. It's based on the manipulation of words and language on objects, so it changes the properties of an object and what they do, and that's kind of the system. But then the main character of the story, she has the ability to hear these objects, and because she herself has been modified a little bit, but so it's not really magic, it's more, there should be a word for it, but we're gonna call it a magic system anyways because it was really, really good. But again, it's another, like, just, she's a thief, the main character, and she's brought into this, she's hired by this person to steal this really important thing, and then she ends up getting caught up in this huge I don't even know how to explain it. She just gets caught up in this world that she never really wanted a part of, and she ends up befriending a key that can talk, which is fun. But it's, again, another like band of people coming together to do this thing, and I'm really interested to see where it goes in the next one, which is coming out this year, I do believe. But yeah, I really enjoyed Foundryside. I'm really pleasantly surprised about it. The next one was another book club pick that I have to read for January, and we're actually meeting, I believe, next Friday with my friends. It's just one for my friends, and I read The Hours by Michael Cunningham, which I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's basically not a retelling of Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, but like an incorporation of that narrative into another narrative. I believe there's a movie also with Meryl Streep who stars in it, but basically it follows Virginia Woolf, her storyline. It follows Clarissa, not Clarissa Dalloway, just a girl named Clarissa, and then a girl named Laura, and it's their 3 storylines, how they kind of intertwine, and it's an interesting look at humanity. I really enjoyed it from the beginning. The audiobook is narrated by the author. It's not amazing, but it's interesting to listen to audiobooks that are narrated by the author themselves, because then you get the inflection that they really wanted to put into the story. So it was okay, but by the end I was a little bored, so it was okay. 3.5 stars. The next one I read for the Lovely Ladies live stream was Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I gave this 5 stars. I think we all gave this 5 stars, and I will put my thoughts in the live stream, which was last night for me, which was February 1st, just in the down bar so you can hear all of our thoughts about it. But yeah, it was incredible. The next book I read was The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This book was really, really beautiful. I ended up giving this, I believe, 4 stars, because it is just wonderfully atmospheric. It is set in the 1600s Russia, and it is a kind of Cinderella retelling. So we have our main character, Vasya, who lost her mum when she was born. She's raised by her father and her 4 siblings in this very remote area of Russia, and one day her father remarries, and this lady who comes in is very Christian and just removes everything of the old religion from their house, which causes a lot of issues in the town that they're in, because there's also these little lovely little characters. I don't really know what they're called. I don't want to call them gods because I don't think they are, but they're from the old religion, and Vasya can see them and her stepmother can see them, but her stepmother considers them demons and wants them all eradicated. But there's also this really dark force that's impeding on their, like, that's coming through the forest that is going to do stuff, and it's just kind of that impending doom feeling. But this book was lovely. It was a little slow, but I've heard amazing things about the rest of the series, so I'm looking forward to keep going with this one. This next book I read was also a 4-star. I listened to it on audio and I read it physically, and that is The Thousand Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. This was a really interesting concept to me. Basically, what the synopsis of this book is very, very vague, which I think is good and beneficial because it took the story to a completely different way than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be more similar to The Starless Sea, which I'm currently reading, but it's not really that similar. I mean, it is, the concept is, because in this world you can go through doors that take you to different worlds, and one day, January, our main character, she finds a door and it kind of just goes from there. But it's really, really good. Not what I was expecting, but still really enjoyed it. And the final book that I read in January was We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal. I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. I was kind of on the fence about that, between 4 and 4.5, because I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't really, like, it didn't blow me away. It wasn't my favorite, but it was, the more I thought about it, then I was like, no, this story is really well crafted and it's really well written and it's unique in itself. So basically we have a hunter and a prince. The hunter is actually a girl in disguise who is trying to keep her village alive, and the prince is an assassin who doesn't really want to be, but doesn't see anything else in his world that he can do because he's also the prince, or the sultani, I guess. No, that was just the guy's nickname for him. He's the son of the sultan, so he has to be an assassin because that's his role. But it was really interesting because they're tasked at the beginning of this with basically bringing back magic, but there's so much more in this, like, plot line and intrigue, and just the way it's knitted together is incredible. And I really, really enjoyed the world in this one because it just felt so real. Like, they go between a really icy, snowy world where they live, and then they have the just desert where they end up, and it's incredible. Really enjoyed this one. Anyways, a few other favorites of mine besides all those lovely books. I ended up watching many shows this month. I ended up watching and finishing The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime. I adored that show so much. It was just incredible, and I kind of want to rewatch it now because it's just, the comedy is so funny. I really enjoyed each of the characters. Even some of them who are a little bit unlikable at the beginning became some of my favorites, and it was so good. And then once I finished that, I also started watching Fleabag, which is so bizarre and weird, but I really, really loved it. And the season 2 was so good. When they introduced the guy who plays Moriarty in Sherlock, I can never remember his name, but some of the lines that come out of him, between him and Fleabag, are just incredible. He's like so good. I can't wait to see where season 3 goes. I also watched The Witcher many times. Fabulous show. I've talked about it on my channel before, but I really want to read the books now so I can find out more of the backstory of The Witcher. And then I also watched Sex Education season 2, which was so good. I mean, every single one of these shows just blew me away. Sex Education especially, because it's just, some of the plot lines in each individual episode were just so impactful, and some of the ones that arced over the series itself were just incredible. I adore Amy and Ola and Maeve so much. Those three girls are just incredible. They grew on me so much. And then Otis kind of fell in my favor. He's kind of awful in season 2. But Eric is also just incredible in season 2. And that show is just incredible. I love it so, so much. If you're on the fence about it, please watch it. Yes, it deals with sex a lot, but the show is so good itself. Like, there's so much more than just sex. So, it's amazing. Alright, besides that, I'm gonna run quickly through the books that I'm continuously reading. So far I have, as the one I said earlier in this video, I have The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I am about halfway through and I'm really enjoying it. I'm taking it really slowly, really, really loving it. I'm also halfway through Queen of Sorrow, which I started just yesterday, so this is going to be my first read of February, probably. I'm also slowly making my way through Anna Karenina by Leah Tolstoy, and I don't think I'm going to finish this in February, but I'm going to try to get a lot of it done in February because I think this is going to be my main classic that I'm going to work through. But I'm enjoying it, so that's good. And I'm also making my way through Brandon Sanderson's Way of Kings. I have the audiobook for this, so it's really helping, and I'm really enjoying it. I am a little ways through. I am almost 400 pages through, so it shouldn't take me more than the month of February to finish. It hopefully won't, but I'm going to continue with this one. And then my TBR pile for February is very large. I have many, many books that I want to try and get to. I'm just going to name them off. I'm not going to give you synopsises. If you want to look up them, go for it, but I want to read The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson, which is the second Mistborn one in the trilogy. I want to get to Persuasion by Jane Austen. I said this was my January one, but it is going to be my February, on my February TBR, because I picked this for a book club with my friends, so I'm going to be reading it for sure, I have The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. I have Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey, which is a cute little romance I'm very excited to get to. I have The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. Really intrigued to get to this one. Worried about it, but intrigued. And then I would also like to reread Scythe so I can get to Thunderhead this month. And finally, I would love to keep going with the Keeper of the Lost Cities series with number 4. So that's it. That's my video for today. I really hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below how your reading month for January was, and if you have any favorites, let me know. I am also going to now have to clean up the mess on my bed that you can kind of see the corner of. But yes, I will catch you very soon in another video. Stay kind and keep on reading.